Welcome to the show. I want to start today with a memory. 20 years ago, I was told the customer traded their car for 10 grand, but on the yard we'd list it for 18 tomorrow. That was the moment I realized that in the automotive world, the person with the most data can win, and the person with the emotional attachment can sometimes pay the difference. And nowhere is that gap wider or more expensive than in the insurance game right now. If you've looked at your renewal notice lately, you know premiums are skyrocketing, but what you might not know is that there is a massive wave of anger washing over the country. Last year alone, the Australian Financial Complaints Authority, AFCA, handled 2,426 formal disputes specifically about vehicle valuations. That is over 2,000 Australians who paid their premiums for years, had a crash, and then realised the safety net they bought was made of wet tissue paper. It all starts with a seemingly simple choice when you set up your policy, agreed value versus market value. Now, the agreed value is straightforward. You and the insurer shake hands on a number, say $35,000. If the car gets written off, that is the check they write. But the premium is higher, so the insurer quietly nudges you toward market value. It's cheaper, they say. We'll just pay you what the car is worth at the time of the accident. And that is the sell. Because who decides what it's worth? Not you. Not even a human being looking at your clean, well-maintained car. Instead, they hide behind black box pricing guides. They feed your registration into matrix value systems plugged into databases like Redbook or Autograb. These algorithms do not care that you just put 4 new Pirelli tires on it a week ago, or that it has a full logbook service history ahead of time and the fact its timing belt was replaced twice already. No. They also don't allow the fact the 1 or 2 that are for sale for $5,000 less than yours has a faded bonnet and roof. They reduce your pride and joy to an average of depreciated wholesale data. They use the cheaper premium as a lure, knowing that when the time comes to pay out, the market they define is designed to keep their cash in their pockets. Let me tell you how this corporate math actually plays out in the real world. I was reading a case on Reddit recently that perfectly illustrates the absolute fiction of this market value calculation. A guy owned a clean, low-kilometer BMW 118 IM Sport, and in the dead right color combination. Now, he bought it for $32,000. A few months later, it got written off in a non-fault accident, with an errant vehicle veering into the wrong lane. Scary. Yeah, but no one was injured at least. No worries, he thinks. I'm insured. This will get sorted out. The insurer came back with an initial payout offer of $20,000. 20 grand. For a car he paid 32 grand for. When he asked how on earth they calculated that, they pointed to their market data. They had pulled up listings of base model comparisons, cars with higher kilometers, faded paint, standard seats, and the barest of basics, and compared them directly to his premium M Sport. To the algorithm, a 118 is a 118. They ignored the factory body kit, the upgraded sport suspension, the premium molten red leather, and the scarcity of that specific trim, let alone the factory options that more than likely totaled in excess of 10 to 15,000 new. Now this is what really irks me. I have seen or heard many dealers almost lose signed-up contracts lately because of this lack of consideration from these companies. A low ball offer is a low ball offer in any sense of the sector of this industry, and if it hits you in the right spot, it can hurt. But when it comes to affecting consumer confidence in purchasing their new vehicle because of their new premiums or the hoops they are led to jump through, that's especially annoying. And especially when the car matches their wants, needs, and ticks all other boxes. That's not fair to the buyer or the dealer. But this isn't an accident. It's a business model. There is a structural incentive for insurance companies to offer you the absolute lowest baseline figure first. It is a calculated gamble. They know that after a major accident, you are stressed. You are carless. You might be injured or you are scrambling to get to work. They bet that 90% of people will simply sigh, complain to their partner, and sign the release form because they need the money to buy a replacement vehicle immediately. They weaponize your desperation, as far as I am concerned. That doesn't feel right to me. But here is what they do not want you to know. You do not have to accept their math. You can fight back, and when you do it with data, the giant backpedals very quickly. In the case of that BMW owner, he didn't just accept the $20,000 insult. He went to work and went about it in the right way. Calculated, researched, and loaded with proof. ammo, and a firm tone. So, first, you need to build a dossier of reality. Go onto car sales, Facebook Marketplace, and Auto Trader. Find at least 5 or 6 active listings for your exact make, model, year, and comparisons in trim level, with similar odometer readings, or at least to a range. If there are no active listings, look for sold listings, or go to local dealers and ask what they would retail that car for today, and even try asking for a quote. Print these out, save them as email transcripts, or create a folder of evidence per se. This is your proof that their market does not exist in the real world. Second step, draft a formal objection. Do not get emotional. Do not write a long essay about how much you love the car. Write a cold, business-like letter. State the facts, something as structured to begin with as, to whom it may concern. Your valuation of $20,000 does not reflect the current Australian retail market for this specific trim and badge level. To add with value, the low odometer for age and the near-on perfect paint in relation to what you must be comparing to have formed that result. Please see attached evidence of comparative vehicles selling for an average of $30,000. See, that can be effective and shows you are not simply a pushover, but have enough nous to understand your frustration is valid. Submit this through their internal dispute resolution or IDR department. Every insurer has one, and they are legally required to respond within 30 days. If they still refuse to budge, you play your trump card, AFCA. Filing a complaint with the Australian Financial Complaints Authority is completely free for you, but it costs the insurance company money just to respond to it. The moment an AFCA file is opened, a real human analyst on the insurer's legal team has to look at your case. They know that if they lose at AFCA, it looks terrible on their record. In the case of the BMW 118M Sport, once the owner presented his compiled market data and threatened to escalate to AFCA, the insurer miraculously found an extra $10,000, raising their payout from $20,000 to $30,000. Surprise? Surprise! As I have mentioned in previous episodes, forming a team of help is paramount in life. Here I suggest approaching a business like Guardian Insurance Brokers to look into these variables for you. Even if you are a loyalist to your long-standing insurer, it is always helpful to do a general checkup with companies like Guardian that specialize in this world. They can offer sound advice and shop for the best position and outcome for you. In closing, the game you have to play with this part of the industry, that is fast becoming a monopoly, is a game of bluff, unfortunately. My golden rule has always been simple. You don't have to accept the first offer. Whether you are selling a trade-in to a dealer or disputing a write-off with a multi-billion-dollar insurer, the principle remains the same. They rely on you being tired, uninformed, and compliant. But when you turn up with hard evidence or the backing from an expert broker, the tables can turn. Clarity beats confidence every single time. Don't let them tell you what your assets are worth. That's all for today. Let's catch up on the next episode of the VINN Report.